Hey, hello to my friends and Pega partners from all over the world. Welcome to this conversation with Dan Kasun edition of the Pega Partner Hour, a monthly webinar that provides Pega partners with support in the sales, technical, and industry domains. As a reminder, we'll be recording this session. If you prefer not to be recorded today, please feel free to drop from the call, and you're welcome to watch the recordings at a later time, which you can find now on the Pega Partner portal and on our YouTube channel. Before we get started today, a reminder that the call for presenters at Pega World closes today, October 10th at 5 p.m. Again, that's today, and that's a hard deadline. So if you're still interested, please go to pegaworld.com. You can see this page right here in the middle with the yellow, submit a proposal. Please get that done, and we would love to have you. All right, let's dive in. Today's lineup is such a great one. We had to limit it to one guest. As they say in the biz, today's guest needs no introduction, but I'm going to give it a shot anyway. Today's guest is a true technology visionary, a trailblazer, a name that's whispered with reverence in the halls of innovation. Please welcome the unstoppable, the unforgettable, the one-man phenomenon, Mr. Dan Kasun.
Thank you, Randy, and great to be here with everybody. I've never been introduced that way before, so but I'm going to keep this recording now and play it for my family at home. And thanks for that. That was very gracious, and thanks for joining us. This is great. I'm really pleased that we do this with our community. I get enthused, my enthusiasm levels grow significantly with every discussion I have with our partners. So the opportunity to get out in front of so many people at one time is just a huge pleasure for me, and I'm really happy to be here.
Dan, it's great to have you. It's always humbling when I can get somebody who has a calendar like yours that's completely filled, take an hour and spend it with us. So Dan, listen, let's jump in. The Q&A is open. So if you have a question that you want to ask Dan or you want me to ask Dan, please type it into the Q&A. And until then, Dan, I've got some questions for you. Some people on my team, we came up some things. And the first question, you were at Microsoft for a long time, right? You were at Amazon AWS for a long time. Why Pega? What did you see at Pega that made you jump and take the next step?
Yeah, a few things, you're right. I mean, my tenure at both companies was fairly long. I was almost 19 years at Microsoft and over 11 years or almost 11 years at AWS. Coming into over the last couple of years, I really saw how AI was gaining traction and how customers were leveraging AI to try to solve problems. And I was watching very closely as many organizations were implementing AI projects and not succeeding extremely well, particularly as they tried to apply it to how they were driving legacy transformation. I did a lot of work with a lot of the code development LLMs and others. I was running a team that managed software DevOps partners, et cetera. So I got to see it, and I got to see how people were building applications, and we're starting to see some successes, and there was some good momentum there. And I've worked with Pega for many years, and I've recognized historically the complexity that Pega had. Super robust platform, but it was a really complex thing. And getting in and selling and figuring out how to apply it to business problems was to me like, gosh, it's just a little bit challenging there. Then I saw blueprints towards the end of last calendar year, and like the huge light bulb went off in my head. And I was like, oh my God, this is actually a very powerful way of leveraging AI to solve significant business problems. That's going to be a huge catalyst for success for our customers. So I saw like the light bulb went off to me that we have an amazing opportunity to change how organizations pursue and solve their problems. And what Pega has as a platform is so comprehensive, and Blueprints makes it so easy to do, that I just saw this tremendous opportunity to have a change in the industry and to really help our customers. And I recognize that the opportunity to work with the partner ecosystem was essentially how it's going to be done. And I look back at my history and what I have done well throughout the course of my career, and it's been managing the partners, managing the technology relationships with our partners to help them grow their businesses. And I saw the opportunity to do that here. I said, if I get the most gratification out of driving success for partner organizations, I see this huge business opportunity for all of us now. And for me, I do something I just could not say no to. It was a huge opportunity of a lifetime.
That's awesome. I think we all feel the same way. And to see someone like you, I mean, Dan, you should have a gold watch for every place you go to. I mean, you look at people's LinkedIn and you see people do a year and a half and 2 years, and to see someone who can just stick it out and then comes here makes me personally excited. I'm like, this guy knows what it's about. This guy's in it for the long haul, and he has seen success at great companies. So, I mean, I know me and the partners I have, we talk about, we're excited to have you. Yeah, let's jump right into the deep end of the pool. We got a question that comes in. What KPIs are in place to measure the success of the Blueprint-enabled partner program with respect to partner growth and the acceleration of customer outcomes?
Wow, we're getting right into it right away. Oh, that's just great.
Yeah,
It's a
that came from the crowd.
what a great question. Um, the first thing I can say is when I'm right, and I'll just be very transparent with everybody right now, is I really do, I am confident that blueprints are a game changer for our partner community and how we approach customers. They will accelerate how we sell, how we propose and how we win business, and then ultimately how we deliver. And all of that's going to get faster and better, driving more business for everybody. So one of the very first things that I'm looking at and I'm trying to measure across our partners is how effective, how effective are our partners at leveraging blueprints to develop, drive new business, and then use that their blueprint framework in their delivery of their solutions. So to the extent that we can measure that, things like how broadly are they using it? Are we actually, is their sales force and are our partners using blueprints very proactively throughout all roles, not just in the roles that are doing specific design or the solution designers or the LSAs or anything like that. Um, is everybody using it in an organization from the top level sales all the way down? Because I think if we look at how, if you are in an organization and you're enabling the entire organization to leverage blueprints and all assets of selling through business development to delivery, you're going to succeed faster. I'm extremely confident of that. So that's one of the things that we're trying to look at is how's overall adoption going? And when I look at our team and I look at how I'm measuring my team and Randy and everybody else too, how well are you, how effectively are you getting out to your partners and helping them understand that? How effectively are you helping them do the enablement and figure out how to use blueprints? And the good news is it's not that hard. I built 4 or 5 blueprints a week just because it's interesting and fun. And it helps me solve and think through problems more effectively. So that enablement's light, but getting out and reaching our partners and helping them understand that it's a new model and it's really difficult to go when an organization is very kind of development focused, all of a sudden step back and say, gosh, we should think differently about how we approach these problems. It's something that I'm asking my team to do, and it's a new motion for us. That kind of one is overall blueprint adoption. Beyond that, the other thing would be how well are we looking, how well are our partners adopting the latest technologies? So we look, Blueprint's going to be a lead into that because that leads you into Infinity, Infinity 25, Constellation. And if you're using the latest technologies, you're going to be able to deliver faster and deliver better. And ultimately through that, successful deliveries as well. How satisfied are your customers? How satisfied are we, are you in the delivery of your solutions out there? And so we think about those things. One, short-term metrics. Are you adopting blueprints? Are you using the latest technologies? And how effective my team is in helping you do that. And then delivery project and delivery of business growth for yourselves. So looking at how your businesses are growing and ultimately how that impacts Pega ACV growth too. So those are all the high-level metrics that I look at for the ecosystem. And the one thing that I can say is, going into next year is my expectation is a year of rapid growth for us. So everything I just mentioned should be enablers for our partners to accelerate their growth, be growing more, delivering more deals, more pipeline, more delivery, higher revenue for everybody. So that's ultimately what I'm looking at. We're looking at growth, and historically, for those of us who've been watching Pega over years, 11, 12% growth. My future vision through our partners is significant multiples of that growth. We're only going to do it through our partners. So if you're thinking about how you're growing your own organization, your own revenue, set your sights on a growth mindset, because that's what we're doing.
Yeah, Dan, I couldn't agree with you more. Dan, you and I had a conversation a couple weeks ago, and you explained something that I was embarrassed that it wasn't as clear to me as you said it in my own mind, but you talked about the need for new people who haven't done Blueprint to do Blueprint, and to get as many people who aren't doing Blueprint to at least try it once. And part of the reason you talked about how important it is for people to see how easy it is, and for people to better understand um, Pega in what it does, because Pega is not it's not the name everybody knows, although everybody touches it every day, as we know, but it's not the name. And I wondered if you'd touch on that a little bit, why we want people both in the partner ecosystem and the customer ecosystem to have people who may not be super technical to do more blueprints.
Yeah. Goes back to how do we create an environment for significant substantial growth. And in order to do that, the sale has to be simplified. So here, Dan is asking everybody, my team, work with our partners, help them figure out how they can grow faster. How can we help them drive more pipeline, do more business development? If we go back a year, 2 years before Blueprints, it was hard to do. Pega, it is understanding case types, understanding cases, pricing deals, scoping things out. It takes a lot of, it's pretty challenging, or have been pretty challenging to do. And so the perception, and I've spoken with many partners over the last couple of months, many of their leadership, perception of Pega has incredibly robust platform, just complex sale, really complex. So not everybody can do it. So the model has been, okay, we're just going to make sure that when we do our business development, we're going to be really refined, and we're going to pick our deals. And we may not have the scope of deals too, but we're going to win the big ones that we need to get. We're changing that completely. And the idea behind Blueprints is, frankly, anybody can use it now. Anybody can go into Blueprint and work with a customer, sit down with a customer, and come up with a model for a solution very quickly. So we're enabling, it is a tool that enables everybody. The challenge is that not everybody knows it. And the only way we're going to get that growth is if the people who are in front of the customers, the people who may not even know Pega today, because if you look at any organization of our partners, guaranteed you have your Pega practice, your center of excellence for Pega that does that, but then you have everybody else. Wouldn't it be great if everybody else was selling solutions that were driven by the Pega practice? So how do we do that? Blueprints. Because blueprints do that. I challenge anybody today, if you haven't gone on blueprints, or bring it to somebody who's never seen Pega before, just have them walk through blueprints. By the end of the, like, oh, that was pretty easy. That was easy to do. Couldn't have done that a year ago. Couldn't have done that 2 years ago. So that's really the primary reason is we've changed the model that's going to make it so much easier and so much faster to sell. And that means that more people will be able to do the business development in our partner organizations. And that's how you're going to drive growth. Just getting awareness and getting visibility for that is our task now.
And Dan, I get, and I'm sure you do, and probably everybody on this call, the simple answer is we sell software, but people ask us all the time, what do you do? My kids probably don't 100% know how to tell people what I do. So I gave my phone to my daughter with her, and I said, hey, run some blueprints on anything. Tell me something you'd like to do. You'd like to know how to do it. And first thing she said is, well, this is what you do, right? That's got some real strength to it to show. And then I've also had that blueprint done for people who already knew the answer, or sometimes they already have a solution in place. And I say, just do a blueprint and see what it comes up with. And people go, yeah, this is spot on. This is exactly what we're doing, except, boy, I didn't think of that. That's actually pretty good. We might have to put that in place. So it really helps people out. All right, Dan, we got a bunch of questions coming in. I'm going to pick randomly. This looks like an internal one. As you've been here a few months now, what has surprised you the most regarding our business and our teams?
There've been so many things here. I think one of the first things that surprised me is what a tight community the partner ecosystem is. And again, you'll see that with an organization, Pega, over 40 years old. And that community that's built solutions has been developing over that time. You think back when at AWS, that where I was for about a decade, it wasn't that old of a company. And when I was working and I was building the partner ecosystems there, all the partners were brand new to the ecosystem. I didn't come into the business with having this vast network of people that have been deeply ingrained with the company for multiple decades. And that was an interesting thing. That was a kind of a very uh, useful realization because the guidance that I've gotten from the partners in their approach to the business and what works has been really strong. That's kind of one thing that really surprised me. Um, the second thing I think, and this is probably we're going to keep coming back to the blueprint theme on this too because we're so
Right.
excited about it. But I don't want to overplay it too much. Well, I do want to overplay it, but let's put it that way because it does mean that much.
Roger Clemens throws a lot
And
of fastballs because
yeah,
that's what
and this
works.
was, as I mentioned, that's kind of what got me in here. That when I saw it, I was like, that is a transformational thing. And what surprised me here is I still am working with many partners who have very, very little exposure to blueprints. And I'm like scratching my head, really? Like only a couple of people are doing blueprints inside the whole organization? And it made me realize that, and I don't think I'll get any argument on this. That Pega needs to increase the way we approach visibility for what's important for our partner, important for our customers. And basically, we need to market better. And I think we've changed since I've been here the last couple of months, we've changed it significantly. But coming in, it just surprised me that this is such incredible technology that even so few of our best partners are using well. And it struck me as a huge opportunity. Like we can fix that and we can get in right too. And it just showed me the work that we have to do as a company that Pega has to do in figuring out how to better reach people with the right message.
I love it. Let's see what we can do here with some more questions for you, Dan. Aside from the hyperscalers, AWS and Google, and we had a past Pega Partner Hour on the hyperscalers, do you see any other key Pega technology partners that your service partners should plan to align with?
Um,
That's a tough question.
the answer is yes, I do. I don't want to tip my hat yet because we're having many discussions on those right now. And but I'll talk about categories of partners. Certainly the hyperscalers, absolutely key. You think about the key organizations that are critically part of our enterprise customers' transformations. So think about that. What is key and what are really important for enterprises right now? Legacy transformation and innovation through AI. So what other types of solution providers or technology providers are really important in those spaces right now? Certainly, hyperscalers we talked about. Anybody with kind of AI infrastructure, AI, model management, governance, agentic type of AI work in that space is an area that we're looking very seriously at additional technology partnerships because that's a space that we think we are a central point in agentic AI and managing, essentially bringing business solutions from agentic AI. Then you think about legacy transformation, enterprise infrastructure. You know, data, anything around data, any organizations that's in the middle of enterprise modernization, cloud migration, usually starts with data and managing and modernizing their data platforms too. Very important to us too. Those are kind of the key areas that I'm looking at right now for additional technology partnerships. There'll be more to come this coming year.
That's great. Hey, Ashwin jumped in. He asks, a lot of a lot of customers are adopting a bring your own AI approach, in which they're expecting platforms like Pega to work seamlessly with the AI stack provided by their client. Do you know what Pega's strategy is in helping the clients to get AI right in this paradigm?
I don't want to. Short answer, I'm not the best person to answer that question. We should bring in some of the product guys and others too, other than we see the exact same thing. So we recognize when working with our customers, they're making significant investment in their own AI infrastructure and the tools they're using, and prioritizing how we integrate with that and how we use that is critical to us. So I can say it's high importance. I don't have any specifics on initial or product plans or anything we're doing right now.
Well, and Pega prides itself on tying into APIs with just about everybody. There's not many that we can't work with. In fact, it would be a lot harder to answer who we couldn't work with than who we could.
Yep.
So that's good.
Good.
All right, we've got, let's see, since the launch of Pega Blueprint, I can tell you this, since the launch of Pega Blueprint, how much impact has it had on bringing in new customers compared to before? And I'd add in how much faster.
I know you. Well, I have my answer. Randy, you have a good, quick response yourself on that, or what are your thoughts? And then I'll get to mine.
Yeah, I mean, it's just what we've been talking about with Blueprint. We're able to sit down with people and they can envision the solution in 5 minutes, right? Like people before couldn't do that. We'd say, hey, you're into it. We'd do a demo. Maybe it would resonate. Maybe it wouldn't resonate. But we're sitting down with people and they're seeing this in real time. And then they're saying, well, but that persona doesn't exist. We'd have to put someone else. Well, let me put someone else in. Does that make more sense? And that workflow, we don't do that. That would never work. Let's take that out. What do you do? And they see effectively, it's dummy data at the beginning, but it's an effective working workflow with process AI. Like they just see it, and then it's we're ready to go to market almost with that. Like we're cutting out weeks in time. We've talked a lot about using the Blueprint to answer RFIs, and one of my teammates who I've said this ad nauseum, Aaron Passy, he does this great presentation where he takes a RFP, he puts all the paperwork and Blueprint spits it out, and he went to a partner and they said, we saw you do something in 10 minutes that has done more than we've done in 2 months.
Yep. And really that's the goal. For anybody who was at Pega World last year, again, my first day on the job, bring up this slide. And this is going back to the question before, surprising thing for me. I came from Microsoft and AWS, where if someone wanted to be a customer, I mean, it was rapid growth. And it shocked me to learn that Pega, in a way, constrained our customer engagement. Meaning we might have logos come in and we say, you know what, we can't take that. I think our partners have experienced this. There were deals that we would just turn away because we didn't think the complexity warranted what we were trying to build. Pega World last June, we announced those gloves are coming off. Those reins are coming off. We're going to go from a few hundred customers to thousands and thousands of customers. We wouldn't be able to do that without Blueprints. Simple as that. Now, are we actually seeing volumes of customers just yet? I would answer we are seeing a lot more. I don't have a measure that said, hey, we're seeing actually double the number of new logos, partially because everybody's still getting around it. And going back to my point on why it's important to get our partners engaged on Blueprints, because we want to. This is where we're going to see significant growth. I have seen over the last couple of months some new instances that were also surprising to me. We've had multiple partner wins from partners that are brand new Pega partners, and they're beating out partners that have been in the Pega ecosystem for a long time. And which is kind of surprising because it's the new organization. They're not even really a partner yet. They won a deal on Blueprint, and they beat out another organization who should have known. I'll put this in quotes that Blueprints would have been the best way to win that deal, but they pitched it either a different way or a different technology. They weren't leveraging it too. So we're actually seeing organizations that have, let's say, light Pega skills win deals through Blueprints, and that's new. Yep. That to me said that, wow, this is a huge business development opportunity. Now it creates a little bit of a challenge because those organizations have to deliver. And now we as an organization have to really understand how we're bringing them up the curve, or better yet, how do we establish the right teaming relationships with our partners, other partners to do delivery. But to answer that question, we're seeing, I'd say the number of circumstances where we're seeing new opportunities that we just didn't expect in the past.
Yep.
I've seen a significant growth in those too. And that's exciting for everybody, but also should be concerning for organizations that haven't snapped to just yet. If I'm a partner out there and I just lost a deal to a company on Pega and that company had very little experience with Pega, I'd be scratching my head like, what do we do? What happened? And in many cases, it's effectively learning how to do the business development with the tool.
Well, to your point, right? we're still under NDA on this one, so can't get in the weeds on it, but we had somebody that went to a brand new non-Pega customer. They weren't a Pega partner, they're not a longtime Pega partner, and we weren't in the room, but they decided to show Pega Blueprint. They won the deal. They just brought them right in with it. The client thought it was great, and then they came to us and said, "Hey, we need to be a Pega partner," and we got them up and running as a Pega partner. But the genesis of that was a Blueprint demonstration. It's that simple.
And and that's one thing that I want to work with everybody on. How do we enable that better too? And I look at that as how do we give our partners the confidence, the enablement that they can go in and they can just win business on, I'll say, on their own. Go in and the situation you just announced, there was very, very little integration with Pega before they actually pitched and scoped their deal. And you have the capability to do that now. You have Blueprint to help with business development. We have the adaptive pricing model and the availability in marketplace, AWS marketplace of the adaptive pricing solutions. So organizations can do it. Now, to give you the confidence too, and that would be wonderful. My expectation is that we're going to see much more of that too. And my hope is that everybody sees this as just a license to go hunt. And I encourage you to do that. And I want to do what we can to help you do that.
Perfect. Dan, this question admittedly might be a little bit roadmap and might be out of our swim lane, but I'm going to ask it. How soon will we start to see Blueprint creating a deeper configuration such as business rules, routing, and even integrations?
Yeah, I will have to get back to you on that one.
Yeah,
I know it's on the roadmap, and frankly, this is the other exciting thing about Blueprint too. It's evolving so rapidly. I think we're on 2-week release cycles. It could be 2 weeks. I think it's about that, or at least a month. The amount of change that's happened. If you used Blueprint 2 months ago, go in and you haven't used it since then, you'll be surprised. Oh my God, all the different document types, all the new things that it can do, the robustness of the models that it's coming out with. So the investments there, and we, as an organization, we see this as a critical path to improving development. So I have no doubt that those things are on the roadmap. I just can't speak to when.
Yeah, I thought that might be a tough one. Dan, here's a good one. You've worked extensively with ISVs and global systems integrators. What are the two most common traits of high performing partners?
Hmm. Only two? Uh, yeah, I think the very first one is a strong sense of their own business and a strong vision for how they can essentially grow their own sales. Meaning, it, and I've worked with many organizations that would come and say they would expect their partners to drive business for them. Expect their partners, hey, we expect you to deliver us pipeline, and that's how we're going to grow our business. Um, and in my opinion, that's never a good recipe for anything. If you're in a relationship with a partner and it's a one directional, hey, either we get all our deals from you or we're expecting us to give them all to you, that kind of dependency and that kind of expectation usually goes unmet, and it limits what the partners can do. So one, I would say, have a real strong sense of how you're going to build your business and how partners can accelerate that rather than create dependencies on those partners. And and look for symbiotic support from partners, not dependency support one to two. And you just really good examples for this is the partners that I saw work best with me in my prior role were the ones that did their own marketing, their own events, their own things that they've done that to reach their end customers and educate the customer about their solution. And they brought us in to just help with that and support that, rather than saying, hey, we need you to bring us into the customer too. So essentially have your own plan, have a clear plan, but then figure out how your partners can make that plan more successful. That's kind of one. It own your destiny and look and see how you can get support from partners. The second one is the organizations that know how to do that well, how to leverage their partner community and think in many cases, we're going to go it alone. We're going to stand in the market alone and we're going to win on our own capability. it's really challenging, and the opportunity to succeed out there by integration, and that includes think very, very holistically about what that partner community should be for you as well. What are the right integrator partnerships? What are the teaming relationships? What are the organizations that you can work to gain access to new markets, whether it's international or industry or government or whatever? All really important to reach that. Are there other resale partnerships we should have? What kind of technology partnerships do we have? So essentially, build a team around you, and the organizations that build a team that are outside themselves, that are mutually beneficial to all of them, are the ones that do best.
Well, and to that very point, Dan, part of what I do, and not everybody knows this, and part of what my team does, um, some teams, some partners are extraordinarily talented at BD, but they're weak on delivery. And there are other teams that are just unbelievable at Pega delivery, but not the best at BD. And I've found that with the partners I'm working with, there's a lot of them that are looking to introduce and inter-team with each other and work together. What are your thoughts, just like you were just saying, on inter-team and inter-partner working together through Pega?
Do you mean like how do we coordinate that, or how do we help that happen, or
No, you just agree that it's a good idea, I would
yeah,
think, right?
yeah,
Like, there's no reason to go it alone. Um, there's none, in my opinion,
yeah, yeah.
unless you're sufficient and
Yeah,
you can do that.
totally agree. And frankly, I mean, the one that I'll call out for us right now, the easiest chip on this is how we partner together with the hyperscalers, and that's AWS or GCP. Most organizations that we partner with also have partnerships with them too. Sometimes it exists in different parts of the organization. So we'll say, oh, we'll have our Pega practice here and our AWS or GCP practice over here, and we're not crossing the streams on that. That's an easy thing to pull together because those organizations, there's a lot of mutual benefit in those too. So figuring out when we start going to market together or we're working together, let's loop them in. And that's an easy one that we're looking forward to taking advantage of.
Well, yeah, and if you're a partner and you don't understand what AWS is doing and you don't understand the marketplace and you don't understand the relationship with Pega, go back and watch a couple of the past Pega Partner Hours because we talk about that pretty extensively, but that's
Yeah.
going to be part of the strategy to win. It just is. All right, here, as Pega executes its growth strategy, what role do the current partners play in that growth strategy? Is expand, adopt, position, helping them win more work, etc.?
Yes, that is the answer to that. Let me be very clear right now. Is when we think about Pega's growth, when I think about Pega's growth, and obviously I'm the head of the partner ecosystem, so it's top of mind. But in this case, I think I can speak for all of Pega. Partners are the leading element of that growth strategy. That's it. And we can't grow without our partners. And we can't grow the way we want to grow without our partners. We've been doing that too. So you are you are going to see fundamental changes and transformational changes in enablement and how we work with our partners to make that happen. So hopefully everybody's feeling it a little bit already, but our growth strategy is 100% interdependent with our partner strategy and our partner's success. Simple as that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. All right. Was one, this question is, he's wondering, how do we fit blueprint created solutions to our existing class structure when you already have your enterprise class structure defined in a larger organization?
That's a good question for somebody who can talk about how to bring that in. I'm not the best person to answer that. I wish I know that it's an important topic because many of our customers are looking modernization of existing solutions they have on there. I don't have the specifics on how to do that well or properly, but we should be able to find that or provide some best practices on that. I do believe that there's been some white papers out on that, but off the top of my head, I wouldn't be able to answer that. I've been here 3 months, guys. Come on, give me a break.
I know there are some tough ones. Get a little out of
We're
our,
working
some of
on
them are,
it.
I hate to ask people for questions and then not at least read them. So I'm trying to give you some, um, how about this? What do you think of some strategies that we can all use to get our partners to be more hungry to learn Pega's tools and capabilities so they can evangelize with us?
Well, I think the first thing is to help our partners understand the business opportunity. and gain awareness on that. And the fact, again, that we've opened up the aperture and I think the culture of the partner community may have been such where they were inured to the fact that rapid growth and driving many new logos, it just was not essentially how we did business with Pega in the past. But giving them awareness, no, the reins are off, and helping everybody understand that you can think differently about how you're going to grow your solutions on Pega is the first thing. Is realize that you're no longer tethered, and you can now leverage it. That's kind of the first step. Second step is educating them about the tools that are going to help that go, and it does come back to blueprints. Yeah, getting blueprints in the hands of the people who make those decisions. This is probably the most effective thing that I've seen happen over the last couple of months is when we sit down with C-level executives and or head of sales organization, business development sales, and industry organization that have never seen Pega before inside of our partner practices, and show it to them, because to a T, they all get it like instantly. And that creates that impetus for them to start then figuring out how to roll it into their sales process. And it's interesting, we've actually got questions from, which is kind of I guess is a weird thing to ask. Uh, can we use Blueprint to design solutions that won't end up on Pega? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, I mean, we don't care what you do with the blueprint once it's done. You get your documentation.
Right.
Like, we think obviously, if you've gone through the process of blueprint and the solution makes sense, that it will go into Pega. But using it as an ideation tool and thinking differently about that, one, just giving it grows your organizational muscle and how to build solutions like this in the first place. And that widens the aperture of the types of solution go after. There are many solutions out there where Pega could be a perfect fit that no one's even thought about Pega being a perfect fit. If you look at any modernization that's happening of any enterprise, thousands and thousands of applications, and they're all being put through the same transformation process right now. We're going to do our code analysis, and then we'll take the ones and we'll rewrite them in Java. We'll put them up in in Kubernetes, and like, shouldn't you just like step back and think about which of those applications would have been better, more suitable for Pega? Yeah, we should, but the people who making the decision didn't know that that was an option. Getting those people to understand that that's an option and seeing that is the key. So finding the right people and educating those from our team, that's really our responsibility. How are we reaching those people and how are we helping educate the broader masses that don't have that awareness? That's going to help, and that will help our partners, I think, grow their own businesses that way. Did I answer that question properly?
Yeah, I think it was a great answer,
Okay.
actually. You did great. I like this question. I want to see how you answer it. And it made me think of how I would answer it, honestly. But the question is, how do we see blueprint adoption in the larger corporations like the Fortune 500 companies, but especially when the restrictions on exposing their confidential documents or application snippets to blueprint?
Yeah. Overall, what I've seen is we've done a really effective job in helping those organizations understand that their data remains very confidential and getting through all of their InfoSec practices. So we've done it with, I don't want to say all, because, but many of our enterprise customers where we've gotten through that process. And typically, if you get through one with one financial institution, it's going to work for everybody too. It's just a matter of making the case. And we are making that case. So I would say most of the issues that we've had, any concerns around privacy of IP or security of IP or anything too, have been mitigated. There was a document that was put, I think Matt Healy published a white paper on how the IP and your security is protected in blueprints. I suggest everybody go take a look at that. If we could probably follow up with a link after this call on that. But the basically a blocker right when blueprints first came out because people didn't quite understand the model and how that data was being protected. Once we've been through those discussions, we haven't had any issues.
Yeah, yeah, and the highlight of that question is exposing confidential documents. We're not, right? We're not exposing them. And to be very clear, the only two things that I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but the only two things that anybody at Pega, and let's define anybody, we're talking about very high clearances, we're talking about maybe the travelers. I can't see this, but somebody at Pega can see two things. They can see the title of your blueprint, and they can see the identifying blueprint number. And that's all we can see. Everything else is firewalled off. Whatever you put in is your documents. It's your confidential business. We don't see it. We don't even see how the blueprint workflow, we don't see any of it unless you bring us in and you work with an AE and you show it to them. That's the only
Yep.
way we're going to see it. We otherwise do not see this stuff.
Yep,
So,
exactly.
question comes in from someone with a great name named Randy and also a Roger Clemens fan for the record. How can ISVs perform well in the Pega ecosystem?
When I think about ISVs in the Pega ecosystem, I have a couple of lenses I put on them. One, if the very, very large ISVs that we might integrate with or partner with, for example, in enterprise transformation or larger things. But then the ISVs that build solutions that integrate directly with Pega in some way, or leveraging that, and I would say like a document processing solution that sits within a workflow. On the first one, again, we're building out that model. So I'm going to assume that this question might be more on the latter.
Yeah.
And this is, well, I'll just tee it up saying one of the strategies or plans that we have, we're working on for 2026 is how to build out a better infrastructure to support our ISV partners that do that. So that's probably the one thing I can say is there. The infrastructure to make that happen from a mechanism standpoint doesn't exist really well right now. That's an observation I've made, being self-critical that way. So we have to do a better job of building out. How do we actually build a platform for the ISVs who have solutions that can help augment Pega solutions out there? So that's coming, and we're working on that. In the meantime, one of the best ways that we can do that together is make sure that we're working with the same systems integrators, and we have good partners that way. So if we think about who's doing the implementation around Pega projects with our enterprise customers too, doing what you can to build relationships with them as well, because they're the ones ultimately who are going to be putting these solutions in front of customers. And when they recognize that there's a better way to do a piece of the solution because we can augment, Pega workflow automation with additional tools that fit within inside of that, they'll bring it to the customer too. That's kind of the first thing, is integrate with the partner community. We're going to make that easier and better. In the meantime, I'd love to hear your feedback. And this is one of the things that we think about, how we can improve the Pega partner programs and how we work with our partners too. I'd love to get your ideas. And if organizations out there, if you're an ISV and you have some needs, gosh, we'd really love it if Pega did this, I want to hear from you. So please send me an email, dan.kasun@pega.com. So feel free to send me an email and I'll take it. And I'd love to have some conversations with folks to make sure we're getting this right.
There you go. Dan, I like this question. As partners innovate with Blueprint and develop unique accelerators or methodologies, how will Pega recognize and amplify these contributions? How can individual partner practitioners showcase their Blueprint expertise that aligns with your focus on partner recognition and individual achievement?
So everything I just said in the last answer applies here. So that is absolutely something I see is going to be a huge opportunity for our ISV partners out there. Augmenting how people build solutions with Blueprint through Infinity and others, huge opportunity for us. How we're going to platform organizations like that, give you visibility, help involve you in their sales cycle and customer solutions. I can tell you how we will do it by through human power right now and best intentions. But the better answer is we are working on programs to do that, and there'll be more to come in 2026.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. We're getting a lot of questions, and I want to just I appreciate people asking the questions, but some of the questions are getting pretty technical, and they're pretty technical about Blueprint. So I'm going to omit those questions and try to bring them back down to the partnership. But I will bring my good friend Karim Agnul back on the show, and
Please.
It's not a Blueprint technical question. He's not going to be able to
and by the way, that's great to hear. People are asking questions like that. To me, it tells me that they're digging in, and that's exactly what I want to see. So I'm happy to hear. And yeah, having Karim's answer, I will join that call myself just to listen in.
Yeah. A good question here. Pega's leap from text prompts To understanding entire documents and videos is massive. At some point, could Blueprint almost be pitched as a living artifact repository of the customer's entire strategy and roadmap?
I think in this case, we're just thinking broadly, and to take it out of any kind of product plans or anything like that. What and part of my passion for Blueprint, that was one of the things that I got out of that. When we start building these solutions, one of the challenges that organizations have is they'll have these old applications and they don't even understand the process of workflow anymore because it's really difficult to divine out. I have this COBOL program that's 2 million lines long. You can't even see the workflows anymore. So where's the original documentation or anything on that? Could blueprints be like that? Could this be like the initial source of our overall documentation and explanation of the process, the business process flows of our organization at some kind of catalog enterprise level? To me, I'm like, wow, what a great idea that would be. Now, I can't speak to whether we're building something like that out, but for those who are thinking about blueprints and thinking that way, you see that, and you see that this could be, we'll use the lowercase blueprint. These could be the blueprints for the customers and how they run their business. And that gives them a lot of visibility into, and frankly, visibility and traceability to how their organizations run. Because now when I'm running something in production, I can then trace it back very easily to the visualization of how things are supposed to work. And it's very difficult to do in, I'll say legacy application development models, because there's usually a breakage. You have your design and all your workflows and everything go up on a big whiteboard, or you lay it out using some kind of design tool, and then a conversion over into programmatic application development tools and models. And there's impedance between those two platforms that happens, and it makes it really difficult to do the sourcing back. And this comes from somebody, I've been an application developer since the early 90s. And I always consider myself hardcore developer. So you don't need that kind of stuff anymore, but you actually do. When you're responsible for enterprise scale applications and breadth of portfolio of applications, anything that provides that level of visibility is a wonderful thing. So I can see the vision for that. I can't speak to where we are in a roadmap for that, but it's certainly something that we should continue to pursue.
I like that. Dan, how do you see the partner ecosystem evolving here at Pega over, say, the next 3 to 5 years?
Um, I think what we're going to see is the ecosystem and partners in the ecosystem grow significantly. I'll just say that up front. So hopefully you're all ready for growth. Um, And that includes expanding your practices, the volume of deals that you get, the scope of customers that you get. So one, I expect that we're going to see fairly rapid growth in our partner ecosystem, both new partners coming in, but more importantly, the partners that are here seeing significant volume in their business. That's kind of one. We're going to get a lot more business, everybody. Get ready for it. Like a little buckle up. This is great. The second thing that I think, and this is something that we all need to prepare for, and hopefully you're looking at this too. I do think that the structure of a partner organization that's delivering solutions on Pega will evolve over time as well. We go back and we still have organizations that are written or supporting and developing applications from multiple generations back on the Pega platform. Yeah, which took a very different skill set than what it takes to build a solution leveraging blueprints, Constellation, Infinity today. And the skill sets are there's a difference in what you need over time as the portfolios split in terms of weight in the customer base. You're going to find that, and I think that the weight of the folks in the partnership will shift from the very deep technical, which you will always still need, but where we're going to see the volume of new opportunities for people to do work is going to be on the higher level solution design part, because more people can do it now and more people can take advantage of that now. And what you do with the solution design, for example, starting with Blueprint, gets you much further down the curve than it used to. And the guidelines or the guardrails are set up so that the actual technical integration of those solutions is much easier than it has ever been before, and it's much more difficult to break out and do things that would not be architecturally sound. So as you're planning your organization, think about that. What's the future state of our organization right now in terms of skill sets, everything? That will change over time too. But we need that because, again, if we're going to grow the volume of business that's going to be coming in to our partners significantly, you've got to be ready to deal with that. So, how do you build your organization to do that? It's a good problem to have, but it's going to change how we work.
I like it, Dan. So, Dan, you've been doing this. Your level of expertise and experience is somewhat unmatched to work for the companies you've had, and again have the longevity that you've had. Is there anything, you know, that you've seen, because you've done a lot of experience with partners, is there something that you frequently heard about partners that you found out today now is not really true that you thought was true, or something you heard that wasn't true that you go, no, actually that really is true now that we're here at Pega. Here's something that maybe we should show or they should know from your insight.
Well, let me understand your question a little bit better. Are you asking just in general partnerships, or is there something specific that I'm seeing with Pega partners?
Well, no, in general, as it relates to technology partners, a level of expertise you have, is there a misconception both that you either had and now you see it's not that case, one way or the other? Like something that you say, I thought this too. This is out there that people think this, but it's
Yeah,
not really the case.
um, probably the biggest, I'll say, misconception that I've had to deal with, and there's a reality to it. So I'd say it's not necessarily a misconception, but it's a preconceived conception that people are able to overcome, and that is that sellers within an organization, software platform organization, we'll say like Pega, um, do not like to work with partners. And I dealt this with it at everybody wants to own their deals, and I want to be the master of the customer, and then that's it too. And there's this perception that that's really hard to break in, or organizations will resist those partnerships. And then I would say in relatively immature organizations, you'll see that's the case. You have kind of this new technology coming out too. They're used to being very, very siloed around how they work with their customers, and they're nervous about bringing anybody in because they might break things, at least from their perception. And they think they know it all. I know everything about my customer. I don't need any help too. There's a reality to that in terms of maturity out there, but what I've found is that the more mature an organization gets, um, that not only the more open are they in welcoming to partners, the more reliant they are on partners. And I would say external perceptions that you know what, it is just really hard to work with sales, and we're never going to get there, and it's too challenging. Um, Typically, those are overstated in a great way, and that it's actually much easier than everybody thinks. It's just a matter of communication. It's a matter of getting people in the right room, um, and committing to the right things, and not setting up unrealistic expectations. So I think the kind of the misperception is the willingness that organizations may have, or people may have, to partner, when it's really not an unwillingness. It's just an unaware lack of awareness of the value that people bring to the table. And I think that comes with just educating people about, what those partners can do and what they can't do, and being frank about it. And then just organizational maturity and how the value provided there. I think that's probably it. Is that overstating reticence to partnering has always been something that, once you get it right and once you see it, gosh, there's nothing better than a sales organization that just loves working with partners and actually leads with partners, because that's how you grow.
Yeah, and that's great. It kind of ties into a question my team and I were talking about, and with all this opportunity that we have in front of us, what can stand in our way? What's going to stop us?
Hmm. I think a good segue from what we just talked about. I think probably the first key thing that would stop us or create a lot of friction is if we don't develop a culture of collaboration, and we don't figure out how to work very effectively, not just between Pega and our partners, but our partners and other partners. So making sure that is seamless, making sure that there's a high degree of trust between organizations is fundamental to making that happen. If
Yeah,
things happen over time that break that trust, that'll be an impediment to what we're trying to accomplish. And that's probably the biggest thing that I have is how do we make sure that we are operating in a way and we are being as partner first as we possibly can, so that concerns that we've had or that my organization might have about risk in working with Pega are completely mitigated. So that's probably it. Is
Yeah.
are we doing the right things to earn trust? And if we do that right, things will go incredibly well. If we fail in some aspect of that, that's probably the biggest challenge that we would have.
Well, in the words of the great Robert Van Winkle, who most people know as Vanilla Ice, you stop, collaborate, and listen. Dan, I want to read you one thing that I was asked not to share, but I'm going to clean it up and change the names to protect the innocent. This is not a question, but I want to say that it's great to see Dan in this leadership role at Pega. He has brought a professionalism and enthusiasm that we all greatly appreciate. I can't say enough that we're looking forward to a big 2026 with Pega. So again, I was told not to share that. I think that's the overriding sentiment, both internally here at Pega, externally. Everybody is so excited to have you here, Dan, and an hour goes by fast.
Yeah,
Especially when you have someone like you, man. That time is gone. I want to say to everybody who asked a question that we didn't answer, it was probably Blueprint specific in terms of technology or roadmap. I will go through them. I'll ask Karim, and I will send you an email to get you the right answer. So don't think you got ignored. It just I didn't want to have a lot of questions where we didn't know the answer. And Dan, I leave the close to you if there's anything you've got.
Well, thank you, Randy, and it was really nice for you to read that. And I'm glad to hear that there's confidence there. I will do my best to live up to expectations, and I'm here. My team is here to really support all the partners. And like I said, this is our growth strategy. This is it. So, one, thank you all for the partnership. Thank you for the hard work. We're looking forward to massive growth in the future. The one ask that I have of everybody out there, right after this call, go do Blueprint. Like go do something fun. Like I did one last week on how to make a pumpkin spice latte, and it was actually pretty good. The idea is just learn too, and share it with folks, and share in the organization, educate other people. It's important for us too because we want to get the visibility, but I think it's really more important for you and your organization because the more you do that, the faster you're going to grow. So look forward to it. As I mentioned before, my email is there for all to see, dan.kasun@pega.com. Send me your ideas, send me your questions, and I look forward to seeing everybody at some point over the next year or whenever. So thank you, Randy. And thank you, Randy, for the call. This was fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so that brings us to the close of another Pega Partner Hour. A great thanks to everyone that shows up month to month. Can't do it if nobody comes and logs in. As always, and especially grateful thank you to John Lynch. And of course, today, Dan Kasun. I can't thank all of you enough for, I think, a record-breaking show the numbers are going to show. So we'll see you next on October 14th. If you see me before then, please stop and say hello. Until then, as always, sell and be well. Thank you for joining.
Thank you very much. Thanks all.